Hello, welcome to my channel, 100 Days of Kajo. Today is day 5 of building our personal constitution. Now, we are on grounding article number 2, interacting with sadness. Now, the layout for this grounding article will be the same for grounding article 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sadness is a tricky emotion to navigate, as well as many of the other emotions, such as like guilt and shame, that we'll talk about in a couple days, now that I'm looking at it, right? So first we want to do is sit down, close your eyes. I'm not going to close my eyes because I'm talking to you. Close your eyes and think of your inner child. I know we always hear about talking to our inner child, and I used to think, man, get this out of my face. But then I did it and I was like, oh, okay, I see the magic and the power behind it. So trust me, first you'll probably see a blur. You don't know what's coming up. You barely see your face. But think of a time when you were your saddest, when something happened to you and it just kind of broke you down, whether you actually broke down or just mentally broke down in your mind. How old were you and what did you look like? Is there a specific place or outfit that you were wearing that you can remember? Anything that you can pull from that experience. Sit in it and think about it. After you find that, and pause my video if you still need that time, I'll give it a second. And once you find your inner child, talk through that emotion. Talk through that experience. Talk about how it made you feel. Why did it make you sad? And one thing that I love to do is EFT tapping. Oh! Love EFT tapping. I didn't know what that was. I can't remember what the abbreviation means, but I didn't know what that was when I first started using it. My personal experience, I went on a walk at a park and I was having a rough day, but the weather was beautiful and I was like, you know what? Walking always makes me feel good. And as I'm walking, I'm getting emotional. I'm crying in a public park. Ugly crying in a public park. And I didn't shame myself for it in that moment. And I was like, you know what? I just need to get it out. And it was something was stuck in my chest. And I was like, what is it? What is it? And I start tapping and I'm talking through my emotions. I'm talking about how I feel. I'm telling myself why that's not true anymore. Why I shouldn't identify myself with that negative experience or whatever. And I was ugly crying even more. But afterwards, oh my goodness, I felt so light. I felt so good. And I thought to myself, oh, this is nice. I have never, ever experienced something like that. And that was the first time where I really worked through a heavy emotion and was able to move past it to work on the next one or to become better or like to be in the space I am now. Very happy, very blessed, very okay. Right? So in this time, and I know I'm talking my head off, so I'm probably interrupting into your EFT tapping. Find somewhere in your body where you feel that emotion. Where do you feel it? I usually felt it in my chest and around my eyes. When you think about that negative experience, do you feel the pain here? Do you feel the pain here? Some people feel it in their legs and their thighs. You know how a lot of women say we hold our emotions in our hips. That's what I meant to say, our hips. Sometimes you feel it there. Sometimes you feel it in your back. Sometimes you feel it in your hands. What part of your body do you feel that negative experience and that sadness? Okay, you found it. It takes time to find it, but let's say you found it. Tap. Now let's say you haven't found it yet. That's okay. Tap on your chest. It can be light. It can be a bit harder. It can be fast-paced. It can be slow. Whatever you need to kind of talk yourself through that emotion. And again, pause this video now more than ever to get through that emotion. If you want to instill confidence and reassurance in yourself while creating your personal constitution, follow my channel of Firmly Active Affirmations, where you'll find affirmation, ETF tapping, and guided yoga, as well as my other channel of Firmly Sounds, where you'll find soundscapes such as brown noise, white noise, rain sounds, TV static, and so much more. If you're having trouble getting to that emotion, let's take a pause. Still have your eyes closed, still think about your inner child, and ask your inner child permission to feel that emotion, to analyze that experience, I don't want to say relive it, but to bring it out. Tell your inner child that you are safe with me, that no one's judging you. It's only you, me, and whoever is eavesdropping at the door. So make sure no one is here. Make sure they believe this is a safe space to let go. You do this to build trust with yourself. If you're really having trouble unlocking these emotions is because your inner child also doesn't trust you. Maybe you've ignored feelings and ignored experiences and even punished yourself for feeling those things in the past. And now your inner child's like, this is not a safe space. I'm not safe with you. You need to build trust with your inner world, to be able to bring out those emotions. Once you are able to do that, we can move on with the rest of this video. But if you're having trouble, please pause it and just really take the time, a day or two, to build that trust and ask that permission and to think and feel about those experiences. This takes a while, right? I'm making this video, I think 30 minutes at most. Hopefully it doesn't reach it, but this is a lifelong practice. This is something that you need to be intentional about. And if it takes you longer than whoever else is watching this video, take that time. Okay, now let's say you get past the EFT tapping. You ask your inner child permission. You see and feel those experiences that you had that shaped you, right? The next step is to think about, how does the sadness or sadness in general affect you? Is it passing? Is it crippling? Do you idolize it? What is your relationship with sadness? I ask this because some people actually subconsciously seek out sadness. You will befriend people or be in relationships or do things that you know aren't good for you because sadness is comfortable. It's a form of self-harm and self-punishment. Sometimes we idolize or put our sadness on a pedestal because our sadness has maybe fueled so much of our motivation to get where we are today, and it's hard to let that go. Where it's like, well, I needed this to achieve my goals. I needed this sadness to get out of a certain situation. I needed this sadness to X, Y, and Z, when it's like, okay, you don't need it anymore. You don't need that experience anymore. You don't need that certain kind of drive anymore. Let it go. And why aren't you letting it go? Write that down. Next, as I mentioned before, sometimes we use sadness to punish ourselves. What are ways that you use sadness to punish or even reward yourself? Do you isolate yourself? Do you self-harm? Do you self-sabotage? Those are punishments. But for rewards, are you treating yourself to ice cream when you feel sad? And therefore the only time you can eat ice cream is when you're sad, so that you always make sure to be sad to eat ice cream? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's a weird relationship that you may have with sadness that you want to address. Next thing you want to do is to explain why you won't do that anymore. Why you won't punish yourself or reward yourself for feeling sad. Why you won't idolize it and put it on a pedestal. And why you won't allow it to cripple you. Why? What are good reasons? For instance, one reason why I won't idolize or put sadness on a pedestal is because I enjoy being happy. I want to be able to go after my dreams and to interact with people without having this umbrella of sadness or this coat of sadness just covering me and dictating my every decision. What I'm saying is rather broad, and you can be very specific. You can say, well, I don't want to be stuck in XYZ, or I want to prove to myself that I am worth happiness, or whatever personal reason that you have. The last thing you want to do is ask yourself, and write this down as well, is what ways will you positively interact with sadness that will allow you to feel it, to address it, and to let it go. For instance, for me, as we did in the beginning of the video, EFT tapping. EFT tapping has allowed me to address any, I'll say negative, not just sadness, any negative emotion that I have, to really sit in it, process it, and it may take me a little longer to let it go, but I let it go so much faster when I do EFT tapping. Some people like to meditate, some people like to go on walks, some people like to journal, some people like to talk to friends and family when they're in that space to do that. What ways will you positively interact with sadness? Because if you don't positively interact with it, it will just fight with you. You fight fire with fire, guess what? It's not fun. Someone gets burned, and it will be you, because sadness, it's just an emotion. You're the only physical thing here. You will be the one burned. So what do you put in your personal constitution for this section and for all the other sections to come? All the other grounding sections to come. First, you want to make a promise to your inner child that you are a safe space, that you're not going to hurt them, that you love them, and that you'll listen to them. Make that the first thing in grounding article 2. The next thing you want to do is write down your relationship with sadness and how you'll change it. Now, of course, you'll come back and change it in the future if you have a much, much better relationship with sadness, but you want to see where you are now. And the very, very last thing is every single thing that you can do that allows you to, again, feel it, process it, let it go in a positive light, and not in a I need to fix this right now, but it's like, okay, if I have to feel it, I'll feel it. All right. Thank you for watching my video. I know this one felt a little more heavier, just like the grounding oracle number 1, but when we're talking about our emotions and our inner child and our trauma and all these things, it is a bit serious, so I had to put the hat away a little bit. But don't worry, she'll be back. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.